The Andy Griffith Show was, without question, one of the most watched and popular series on TV during its 8-year run. The show that centered around the sheriff of a small, sleepy town in North Carolina was a hit from 1960 until its final episode in '68. In this video, you'll learn why the cast members quit the show and what really led to the somewhat abrupt ending of this beloved series. Don Knotts. Don Knotts already had quite a few acting gigs under his belt by the time he was offered the role of Deputy Sheriff Barney Fife. But The Andy Griffith Show was arguably his true big break and the role he's most well known for. Don left the show after 5 seasons in 1965. His departure was explained away in the show as a promotion to another police department. After making his exit, he went on to make a few guest appearances in the final 3 seasons. He revealed in an interview he decided to leave after his 5-year contract was up because Andy Griffith told him he was only going to do the show for 5 seasons. Since there wouldn't be a show without Andy, Don figured he ought to start looking for other opportunities. But Andy eventually changed his mind, caving to network pressure, and continued doing the show for another 3 seasons. By this time, Don already had multiple offers for movies and shows and had put so much time and thought into his next moves. He had already made commitments, so he decided not to renew his contract for the show. But Don mentioned he hated leaving, and it was an incredibly tough decision. Don ended up winning 5 Emmys through the course of his time on the series. After the show, he went on to star in a few comedy movies and then joined the cast of the wildly popular sitcom Three's Company. Don was so famous from The Andy Griffith Show that his cast members on Three's Company were reportedly intimidated to work with him. After Don left the show, they decided to replace him with Jack Burns, who played the new deputy Warren Ferguson. But Jack had big shoes to fill, and he unfortunately fell short. People loved Don Knotts' character so much, and it shot him to fame. Many argue the show was never as good or the same after he left. So when Andy decided to cast Jack Burns after enjoying one of his comedy sets, it was no surprise that fans were not very receptive. Jack's stint on the show only lasted 11 episodes, and even Andy agreed his casting was a mistake. Don was brought back for an episode to show support to the new arrival, but it still didn't help. Jack has admitted to feeling bitter about being booted from the show, but he eventually got past it. He went on to find his sweet spot with voiceover roles and behind-the-scenes work as a writer and producer. Ron Howard. Ron Howard played Opie Taylor, the son of Sheriff Andy Taylor. He was on the show for the entirety of its run, until he was 14 years old. Ron could have gone on to act in the Andy Griffith spinoff series, Mayberry R.F.D, but decided not to. He passed on the opportunity because Andy would not be in the show, and he didn't want to do it without him. Ron describes being incredibly emotional at the wrap party for the 8th and final season and cried uncontrollably after realizing a huge chapter of his life was ending. He spent his formative childhood years on the show, and it was difficult for him to bid the series farewell. Ron went on to do a few more acting gigs before landing the role of Richie Cunningham on Happy Days, one of the most successful sitcoms of the 70s. After Happy Days, Ron left acting behind to focus on directing. He won an Oscar for directing A Beautiful Mind. He's directed several popular films and is co-chairman of a production company. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more of why the cast left Andy Griffith Show. Frances Bavier. Frances Bavier played the much-loved character Aunt Bee. Though she'd been acting for a few years before the show, this role was her big break, just like some of her other co-stars. Frances was planning to leave the show after its final season, but was coaxed into staying on for the spin-off series. Since Andy wasn't going to be acting in it, producers convinced Frances to reprise her role and give viewers a reason to tune in. When producers told her Aunt Bee was one of the most important and beloved characters of the show, she felt so flattered it convinced her to continue. Although to many people who worked with Frances, she was nothing like the warm, motherly figure she portrayed. Apparently she had a raging temper and remained aloof from her co-stars. She's been described as volatile and cold, but also misunderstood. Ron Howard says she was professional and a hard worker, but also kept to herself and had little tolerance for shenanigans. In fact, Frances herself said her loving character was much nicer than her. It was rumored Frances was rude to Andy Griffith and they didn't get along on set. In an interview, Andy revealed that Frances called him a few months before her death to apologize about her behavior on set. After The Andy Griffith Show and Mayberry R.F.D., Francis only appeared in one movie before quitting acting altogether. Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith made the decision to leave his own show after the series finale, and didn't reprise his role as Sheriff Andy Taylor in the spinoff. This was surprising since the show was a ratings hit throughout the seasons, and reruns even started airing as early as 1964. By the time the classic comedy was in its 8th and final season, it was the #1 show on television, and it pulled in 35 million viewers an episode. One of the reasons Andy decided to pull the plug on his character was due to how much the show changed once Don Knotts left. Andy felt the show's dynamic was just not the same. He also hinted he wasn't too fond of the switch from black and white to color on television. He felt the show eventually started to lose some of its uniqueness, and he stopped putting in as much effort and care into his character as he used to. Andy's manager has said Andy eventually grew very physically and psychologically drained and didn't have much left to give this role. He wanted to do something different and take on new roles. Although Andy didn't star in his show's spinoff, he stayed on as an EP. He even made an appearance in an episode of the show, which showed him married and leaving Mayberry with his wife, new baby, and Opie. Mayberry R.F.D. continued the theme of small-town living and traditional values and remained high in the ratings despite Andy's departure. It lasted 3 seasons and featured beloved characters Aunt Bee, Goober, Howard, and Emmett from The Andy Griffith Show. Andy was already well known in the comedy and acting world before he starred in The Andy Griffith Show, but it was his role in the series that skyrocketed his fame and established him as a star. After leaving, he started his own production company and went on to act in many films and TV shows. He was also a singer and released country and gospel music albums. He even won a Grammy for one of his albums in 1997. The Andy Griffith Show cemented his legacy, and there's even an Andy Griffith Museum in his hometown of Mount Airy, North Carolina. The 2,500-square-foot museum keeps the world's most extensive collection of Andy Griffith memorabilia and celebrates his career and life. Now it's time to hear from you. Who was your favorite character on The Andy Griffith Show? Let us know in the comments below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.